name. He isn't seeking approval.
No, he's establishing his rank.
His perceived rank within a really high-stakes ecosystem, he still needs a measure for influence, even if he claims to ignore all the noise.
That's a powerful insight. So the need for external reference points for influence, that remains, even when the financial reference points are all internal.
And then we get that quick link to heritage, Irish in my blood,
Yeah.
which just grounds this modern achievement in a historical identity.
Right.
Okay, now let's turn to what is really the operating manual for this entire philosophy. We need to analyze this specific four-part structure of motivation, the success algorithm that he uses over and over again.
This is the core engine.
This is the blueprint.
And this algorithm, it explains why he can sustain that pace and that scale. It outlines a psychological progression that it prevents you from resting on your laurels.
It's a mandatory climb to a purely intrinsic drive. And the journey starts, as all success really has to, with proving it to yourself.
That's the foundation.
Step 1, the internal proof. He says, one time because I had to prove it to myself. You have to achieve the goal once, just for you, just to confirm you're capable.
It's that necessary validation that your vision is actually viable. And that moment of internal certainty, that unlocks the second stage, which then shifts the focus outward.
To fulfilling public expectation. Step 2, external validation. 2 times doing that for everybody else.
Right. This is about proving the first success wasn't just a fluke.
It's silencing the skeptics, validating your investors, cementing your position. You're meeting the high expectation you set for yourself in step 1.
And this is where most high achievers, they peak and then they plateau. They get to step 2, they satisfy the critics, and then they use that validation as like permission to slow down.
But the extraordinary blueprint, it mandates progression.
You have to keep going.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The pressure for the third time is totally different.
Yeah.
It moves past just satisfying other people, and it focuses on permanence.
Okay, so step 3.
Tangible achievement. 3 times used to put the trophy on the shelf.
So this is institutionalizing the success.
Yes. Securing a legacy. Creating something that physically or legally or historically confirms your status. It's a Hall of Fame moment. It's about setting a benchmark for the future.
And here is the profound leap. This is the moment the algorithm truly becomes extraordinary. Once the public is satisfied and the trophy is on the shelf, the only motivation left
Is just pure, unstoppable will.
Right.
Step 4, pure defiance and passion.
Right.
4 times just because I ain't doing nothing else.
Wow.
This is intrinsic motivation, completely decoupled from external reward or public opinion or even a physical trophy. It's defiance against limitation.
You continue simply because you can, or maybe because someone once told you you couldn't reach that high.
And the beauty of this structure is how it just reinforces itself. Once you hit step 4, the motivation becomes perpetual. You're not driven by the goal anymore, or the critics.
You're driven by the act itself. And this is why he can claim, I changed my life overnight with a couple decisions, and yet still feel the need to stay working like there's somebody who's coming to get it.
The pursuit becomes the only acceptable state of being. It's the ultimate insurance policy against complacency. You just can't rest.
To bring this whole philosophy down to earth, he sprinkles in these specific cultural and social references that kind of illustrate how he executes this high-stakes life.
Yeah, and these details show the philosophical balance that's required. He says, that's what happens when you trust the vision, but keep it humble for the just position.
So it's an acknowledgement that visible, astronomical success has to be paired with this active posture of humility.
Even if, financially, nothing about his operation is humble at all, he has to manage the public perception of his status.
There's also this striking self-awareness about imitation in his industry. He knows that everybody, they be eating out the formula.
But he immediately pivots to the upside. But at least they ain't ignoring us.
He recognizes that imitation is basically the tax you pay for being relevant. Being ignored is the real failure, not being copied.
And the high roller specifics really drive home the scale. We hear about reservations for 20 at Co-Show. I mean, this is massive group hospitality. It's a sign of huge influence and networking.
And the expense involved is then defined metaphorically as like that iceberg I'm tipping a boatload.
That's such a brilliant inversion of the phrase.
It is. Usually the tip of the iceberg is just a fraction of the whole thing. But here, he's suggesting that even the tip of his spending, just the visible cost, is enough to sink a boat with its sheer weight.
It's an analogy for just overwhelming exponential wealth.
And he explicitly identifies the kind of support system you need to manage all this. Incredible friends, yeah, they frozone.
For anyone who knows the reference, Frozone from The Incredibles can freeze things instantly.
Right. It implies his inner circle is loyal, they're protective, and they are capable of freezing out external chaos or neutralizing threats.
You need a powerful, tight, specialized team around you for this kind of success.
And finally, we get that quick nod to resilience with the sports analogy, taking hits on the one like I'm Soto.
Yeah, whether that's a specific player known for absorbing impact or a position that requires tenacity, it just underscores that getting to this status means being willing to take continuous blows.
And you have to maintain your position. It all ties back to the claim that he had to adopt this mentality because, in his words, I had different functions because I'm functioning different.
You cannot reach this altitude by playing by the same rules as the crowd. The dollar sign filter, the focus, the strategic circle of friends, and above all, that four-step motivational ladder. It's a completely customized system.
Designed for maximum velocity.
So what does all this mean for you? This deep dive into the extraordinary source material, it reveals a really detailed structure for success defined not by luck, but by intentional, systematic choice.
The blueprint demands 1, extreme financial focus. That's the $100,000 refusal. 2, a self-reinforcing motivation system that goes from internal proof to pure intrinsic will. Those are the 4 steps.
And 3, a strategic management of your identity that balances massive wealth with being locally rooted. The takeaway here is that extraordinary status requires you to function differently.
You have to move past the point where success is defined by what other people think. You create a system where your work is driven purely by the internal pressure of your own capability.
The moment you define your own benchmarks, you leave the public field of play.
And as a final provocative thought for you to consider, this entire philosophy is built on ignoring distraction, on actively rejecting the talking in the public opinion. But the very metrics he cites, the foreign whip, the Alex Warren comparison, the local legend status, the double-digit multiples, all of that demonstrates that he has created an enormous amount of public noise and attention.
So what happens when the success you create becomes the overwhelming noise you are now structurally committed to ignoring?
And how does that tension impact the long-term sustainability of that extraordinary mindset? Something to mull over as you build your own blueprint.